Thanks. So just first off, I just want to get an understanding of like, if we startup founders or interested in growth, or like how can I deliver the best value? So startup founders, okay, like people in growth, people just wanting to get in growth or founding companies or whatever. Cool, got it. So this is what I'm going to go through. Just going to give a quick intro of who I am, what I do, and so on, to give you some context. Then I'm going to talk about what is growth and why growth, and what is growth for us, and more on that in our growth foundation framework, which we have. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about business models for growth and why I think this is super key when you talk about growth. Then I'm going to talk about some experiments which we've done, which Morten just mentioned. And then finally, let's end it up with a million ways to grow. All you have to do is to find one. So I know I don't have so much time, so I'll go through it somewhat quickly today. So just briefly about myself, so you have some context. I have had a interesting last couple of 3-4 years where I lived in respectively all of those in San Francisco, New York, and London, where first I tried to build a company which you see over here, which is a robo-advisor investing app, effectively taking your spare change and investing in it into crypto, right? So if some of you follow crypto, what happened in the market in 2017 was that it went super up, and then in 18 it just splashed, right? So we burned through all the investors' money and was not able to raise more capital, and then we, like anyone else in Silicon Valley, not anyone else, but most people that have done a successful company, went bankrupt, right? So I had to figure out something else to do. Anyway, I ended up in London, where I worked for Nova Founders, which some of you might know, which is founded by Mads and Stefan, Danish guys, which was a great experience for me. And then I ended up in Revolut as of 6, 7, 8 months ago now. Anyways, long story short. So for me, this is key. Like, let's talk about what growth is not, first off, to start about. So in growth, right, the first thing that people say is that, yeah, I just want to reach the hockey stick, and I just want to get that super incremental growth, and I just want to splash out. What a lot of people tend to forget is one thing. So by the way, so how many people are Revolut users here already? So a few, okay. So you're not, Jesper, you're not a Revolut user yet.
No.
Why not?
We tried to become a client with you, but you didn't want us.
Okay, on the business side, right?
Yeah, on the business side.
Okay, why aren't you a consumer customer yet?
My experience of your brand is that you're very good at international transfers.
Got it.
Don't do a lot of, so.
Got it. Got it. So why haven't I convinced you yet to become a customer?
Since my belief in your company is that you're very good at international transfers.
Okay.
And not a personal bank, which I know you.
Got it.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, sorry. Why Jesper is not a Revolut customer yet?
Yeah. Oh. Is it on now?
Yeah.
So I'm not a Revolut customer because how I perceive you guys is that you're very good at international transfers.
Yeah.
And I do a lot of international transfers.
Okay, got it. Got it. So how often do you travel?
I do that 10 times a year.
10 times a year, okay, got it. Do you know how much you spend in currency exchange fees?
No clue.
No clue. Okay. So what if I was to tell you that you could probably, given you traveled 10, 12 times, I presume you travel for business somewhat, right?
Yeah.
Got it. That you could save, don't correct me on the numbers now, but somewhere around 500 to 1,500 Danish kroner, like cumulative, if you just spend with your Revolut card. Would you get a Revolut card in that case?
I don't think so, but I think some of my company would.
You see, if you say, no offense, but if you say this in another market than Denmark, then everyone will say yes. But yeah. So, but anyway, the point of this pitch is that I actually have a card for you just in case you want it. But the point of this is that, so I haven't actually convinced Jesper to be a customer yet, right? Which means that I haven't understood what are your needs yet, right? Now, okay, God forbid I can't do this with every single 5 million Danish people that we have here. But the point is that what we've seen a lot in companies, the mistake they do is that they go out and do growth without understanding the customer, right? And it's key for me to understand not just Jesper, but everyone else here, like what are your needs and how can I help you? So it's great for me to hear that you don't use Revolut because you don't do those international transfers, right? But then on the other hand, you travel 10 times a year, right? So I can offer you airport lounge and so on and so forth. Anyways, this is the point, right? So what growth for us is this, right? So it's like what I do every day is that I just wake up and I figure out a new idea and then I pitch it and I do some business cases, and then nine times out of 10 it probably doesn't work, right? So all I do is that I try again and again and again to become better and learn from the mistakes I did. And then someday you'll probably be able to do this. That's a very weird GIF, I know, but that's what I was able to find to do this. But effectively, what growth is over and over and over, repeat, until you find something that works, right? And I'm going to talk more about channels in a second. And then until that, then you may hit this, right? So the beautiful hockey stick, and then this is Revolut's growth curve, right? So it helps on the slide. If you push it more together, then it's going to look more like a hockey stick, right? And if you just add some or decrease some months. But anyways, so this is actually true. This is actually true. God forbid. It's funny now. I can actually just laugh about it. But then this happens. So what is growth for us? Growth starts in data and analytics a lot. So what I see the mistake people do is that they go out and say, growth, okay, let's do experiments. Let's just do this, and this, and this, and that. And let's try and let's learn, okay, cool. But unless, God forbid, unless you don't have any data at all to start out with, always start with the data. And by data, we don't mean just say, okay, hey, what's our open rate of the email? What's our reply rate? But really dig into, as someone else has said, the whole funnel and really figure out first around the customers and so on. And then it comes to a point around strategy and experimentations, right? So we can build a strategy of the analytics that we've gained, whether that's for new users, for web retention, MAU retention, DAU retention, or whatever you call it in growth terms, right? Then this gives us an opportunity to learn and iterate on that, and that equals effectively growth. It should have been in colors, the rocket, but anyways. This is how we think about it. So why your business model has major impacts on growth. So we all probably know the word network externalities or network effects. If we hear someone not familiar, yeah, no one has the courage to take up the hand, of course. So network effects effectively is what Uber has, what Lyft has, what Airbnb has, what Facebook has, and numerous other companies, Netflix and so on, right? So it's the more the users, the more the value of the product for each user, right? So and the telephone is the best example. If all of us has a telephone, we can call each other. If I have a telephone, Morten doesn't have a telephone, yeah, we can't really do much, right? So network effects, effectively, to start out with, there's various different categories you can look at network effects. But what I would encourage everyone to think about if you have your business, whatever, is even though you have a SaaS business or a business that doesn't normally imply network effects, think around how you can build it into the business model, right? Because there might be ways which you can actually do that. So then comes a very, very interesting thing, which I can encourage everyone to go and read. NFX, the VC fund in San Francisco, and James Pete, I think his name is, and the guys from there, they are incredibly smart. So then now a new idea has popped out, which is called market networks. So effectively, a market network is a business model where you combine certain business models that has network effects, right? So on the left-hand side, you see marketplace where you have transactions among buyers and sellers. What could that be? Uber, eBay, Lyft, right? Then you have a network of identity and communication. Facebook, I was about to say MySpace, it doesn't exist anymore. Tinder, whatever we use. And then you have workflow, which is a SaaS tool, right? So what these companies, if you're not familiar with them, let's take an example. What these companies do so well is that, for instance, take house, right? You have a marketplace where I can find my next carpenter or my next home designer or interior designer. Then they have a network where the community can effectively speak to each other, right? They can upload content of their homes. They can talk to each other what they like, what they don't like, and so on. And then last but not least, you have a workflow where you have a SaaS tool which effectively the supply side of the marketplace can use, right? So now what does it mean? It means that the supply side of the marketplace becomes attached to the workflow tool, which is also integrated here, right? And then they can meet the customers directly through that platform. And then the question is, so how are you ever going to compete against that? Because they gather the whole thing into one era, right? And I think this is really interesting. Anyways, so this is how it's, and I stole it directly from NFX. This is how it looks like, right? So you have these business models we talked about with more network, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. And then we have the transactional marketplaces, Uber, Etsy, Alibaba, Airbnb, etc. And then we have these, right? So basically these are an aggregation of those. And that's where you create immense defensibility in your business, right? Anyways, how to grow. How much time do I have left? Amazing. So, before we talk like tactics on how to grow, this is so goddamn key. So, as human beings, we have intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. Right? So, intrinsic motivation means that I am motivated to do this task just by myself. Like, if I want to go out and play football, I'll just go just because I love it. I don't need any money from it or anything else. I was hoping to become professional, but then I could get some money, but that didn't happen. And then you have extrinsic goals, right, or extrinsic motivation. Effectively what this is that you do something and I give you a reward. And why does this come into play with growth, right? Is that what's interesting is we all have our referral program, including Revolut, which is a give-get situation. You give me a customer, I give you 10 pounds, right? But what you should actually think around is exactly back to the case with Jesper. How can I make my product so good that he's going to share it to Mads just next to him? Because you guys talk probably somewhat frequently, right? So how can I make my product so good that it's the intrinsic motivation that drives the behavior for why we share it? And so whilst we all talk about growth loops and viral loops and all of that, which are great, right? Kudos to Dropbox and Hotmail and whatever have you have done that. Just want you to think about how you can actually build it without having to reward everyone for doing so. It's like with kids, probably. Anyways, so experimentation. So this one I thought was funny, right? So one guy says, "Have you tried to do offline campaigns?" This one is just, "Yeah, no words, bro." And the reason here is that we see it over and over again. It's like, "Hey, have you tried this channel?" "Yeah, I tried Facebook. Yeah, it didn't work." Okay. Did you try Instagram? It didn't work either. Did you try to give out flyers? No, not for us either. But what you don't learn is that you don't learn why, right? And I see over and over again, it's like, yeah, we tried this channel, but it didn't work. And then why? So how many ads did you run? How many flyers did you give out? What was the conversion rate? What was the copy? Did you try different copies? Did you try a different distribution model? Over and over again. That's why it comes back to experimentation and to hypotheses, etc. Really figure out and define it before you even start. What are the goals? What are the success metrics, etc., etc. And then you'll end up with good experiments. So again, ask why 10 times equals growth. So just talk about Revolut. A few of the things we've done that has worked somewhat well for us. And in fact, we actually did an event right here some months ago. Is that how can we get 10 million customers almost doing no paid marketing? Now we just started, we are now 4.5 years old. We just started to sort of try really more in depth around Facebook and Google and so on. But up until half a year ago, we didn't do anything. So now, of course, we didn't acquire 7-8 million customers just through events, but I can tell you that it was a goddamn good channel. Why? We get to talk to customers. We get to meet them. We get to experience what they feel, what they hear, what they like, what they don't like, and so on. So even though these unscalable channels seems not worthy to do, try it, right? And actually go and build real Excel models that explain yourself how this can work at scale, even though you don't think it will. So some of the things that we've gotten out of it is a great community, a great brand, ability to meet users, and then that equals, the incremental ROI of positive acquisition model and so on. Anyways, another thing we've do is partners, right? So think around, okay, you are 24 slides. How can we get everyone else to sell our product? First of all, build a great product, of course, but then find those partners that you have all over the world that can help you sell your product. You don't need to build huge sales teams all around the world. At least we don't. We have like 2 people hired here and 3 in Stockholm, right? So find those partners and figure out what your pitch is to them. And then again, how do you know it doesn't work? I would bet my right hand that no one here has done direct mail as a channel. Like, okay, one, did it work? Okay, yeah. Did it work?
No.
Why not? How many did you try? What was the conversion rate? What was the open rate? What was the copy? I know, sorry.
It was the same as before. It was
Sorry.
basically we were hitting too many people who didn't have need.
Okay, so there's too many
Same
people that
problem
didn't have a
before,
need.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways, we are going to try this, by the way. So you'll probably receive a Revolut A4 with my face on it someday soon. But again, just challenge yourself in like why things work and why things don't work. Anyway, telemarketing, the best one. Yes, 1 minute left. The best one. Yeah, so many companies, like all the telco companies, are built on this. Why aren't we doing it more, right? How can you prove that your LTV to CAC ratio is better on Facebook than this? And here you say, yeah, I can't count it. No, you goddamn can. Just count the hours the people work, and you have a multiple effect of that, right? Anyways, last, the Michelin guide, I just read it actually today in preparation for this. A super interesting case. So Michelin obviously sells, what do you call it, wheel, the things around? Slides, yes. So what they did, they had a challenge, how can we get people to drive more? So how do you get people to drive more? You give them a guide that tells them where to drive, right? Boom. What a great growth hack, which happened 100 years ago. Anyways, so just to sum it up, right? I think we have a million options, like how to grow and how to do growth. All you have to do is find one that works for you, and then you have somewhat solved it. And we haven't solved it yet, even though we are 10 million customers. We're doing experiments every single day, and we'll continue to do so, until we hit hundreds of millions. Anyway, if you're interested in resources, Andrew Chen, NFX, Andreessen Horowitz, and those companies for growth. That's it. Yeah, I'm always hiring for growth if you want to join. And do experiments. Thanks.